Hey everybody, I'm back. I am in the process of, well, I actually did some already. Some of my coasters, you can see them. And I am using Envirotex Light Pour On. And what I did with those over there, you can see them, that are standing on like these little pillars. What I did is I took the tubes that my vinyl comes in, and I always saved them. I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but I like being able to set the tiles on top of something so I can just turn as I'm putting the God, what is this stuff called? I lost my train of thought. My epoxy. Oh my God, I don't believe I can remember. So it makes it easier. And then with those over there, I was able to just leave them on there, but I ran out. So now I'm using anything I can, paint bottles, jars, and little cups that I had laying around. So that's what I'll be using. And I'm using this and these fatter ones. I had used the smaller, thinner popsicle sticks, but what I found for me personally, I didn't like them because they weren't thick enough to spread the epoxy around. I mean, it would work, but I just like the fatter ones better. So what I do is pour it on here and just kind of smooth it out. Now the funny thing is, when I first started using this particular epoxy, I couldn't stand it. I hated it because it wouldn't do what I wanted to do as far as these tiles for the coasters. And what I realized is, for one, I wasn't using enough of the epoxy, and I was also using the fatter, the rounded rounded sticks, like popsicle sticks, and it didn't, for me personally, it didn't go on as well as I would have liked. So I wound up having to do them like 2 or 3 coats, or take the stuff all the way off. And it was when I'm using just plain old coasters without like this has a glitter background on it, but if it was just a regular coaster with just the vinyl on it, I could pull the epoxy straight off of it, which was cool. So all I had to do was just, wipe it down a little bit with alcohol and just put a clean coat, another coat of epoxy on it. So it tends to, this stick tends, in my opinion, for me personally, work better. So what I do is I put most people know that epoxy is self-leveling as long as it's on a level surface. And I just have like a card table. This is one of my areas that I work in, and I have a card table with a cardboard on top of it and some parchment paper on top of that, because the epoxy will pop right off of the parchment paper, whereas wax paper, it doesn't pop off so easily. And so what I'm doing right now is, if I see little bubbles, I'm just tapping it to bust them, and as the epoxy sits, it'll level out. So I love that. And so I'm finding that I really love this particular, I got a paintbrush thing in there. Ugh. And I use this to pop bubbles or pick up little lint or whatever I find that I'll see floating around in there. And so what I do is I hold it kind of at eye level. You can kind of see the bubbles when you, I don't know if you can see it, but when you hold it at eye level, kind of tilt it a little bit, you can see where the bubbles are, or where the little indentations are. And so I just set it up, put it up. Well, actually, I'm actually not going to do that. I'm going to put it on one of these. And I just pick it up off of here and lay it over there. And it'll sit. So now I'm on to my next one, which is one that I had made. I really like how these came out. And this glitter on the back, I got the idea from one of the ladies in a group that I'm in. I don't remember her name, as far as the glitter background, instead of you, because you can just put the glitter on yourself. But this is actually glitter paper that I glued down with some Mod Podge, and then I put the vinyl on top of it, and then I'll just stick it on here like that, and just pour the epoxy straight on it. And I put enough on it to where it'll go around. I try not to get it on the edges, especially if I'm going to be touching it to move it. But if it does get on the edges, I just try to control the flow of it so it doesn't drip all the way off. And just do it like that. So I got these sticks here from, I think I got them from Dollar Tree. And it's a whole package of them. And the tiles, the ceramic tiles I got from, I got a case of them from Home Depot. A lot of people were saying they got a case for $8. I couldn't find a case for $8 anywhere, not even online. So they must have got a discontinued brand or something. But my case was like 16 and some change at Home Depot, and I've already used almost the whole case. This particular coaster right here is just one that I made, but these other ones over here are for an order. I don't know if you can see. There's no, I don't see any bubbles, but I usually will give it a few minutes, let it settle, and then if I see any bubbles, I'll pop it. Pop the bubbles. Like that red one over there is doing, oh shoot, it's doing really well. There's no bubbles on it. And I always wear my gloves, always. I just don't want the stuff getting on me, getting on my hands. And with this tower, what I did with this little cylinder, once I cut it, what I did, this on top of it is some, what is that paper? That foam paper. And I just cut it in squares and taped it on here, and it's pretty good at keeping it from, you know, it's like real good grip. It'll slide a little bit, but it's really not that bad, and it does help with grip so that I can turn it easily and don't really have to worry about it sliding off. Whereas if I use like this with nothing on it, then it'll be sliding all around, and I didn't want to have to deal with that. So that helps a lot. And I knew I would use those cylinders for something, so I found a use for them, and I was glad. And what else? This here is actually, I made this for my great niece. This is actually one of my tic-tac-toe boards on the back. And it's, this is acrylic tic-tac-toe board. And I'm making this as a coaster for her with her cup that goes with it that I'll do after these are all done. And I figured that it would be, you know, because I'm making a set for her grandmother, who's my cousin. And I love that little girl. She's so sweet. And she likes to do what they do. So I told her grandmother that I was making her a cup and a coaster set for just so she could have her own. So when they bring theirs out, she could have hers. So it came out really, really nice. And the little star things, I don't know if you can see the little star things, have are made out of glitter vinyl. So that came out really nice for her. And so now this one, and then I have a brush that I use just to kind of brush the tiles off in case there's a little dust or whatever. And sometimes I forget, but I try to remember, because no matter how much you try to keep the surface clean, lint always manages to get on these things. So I just keep a brush handy and brush each tile off before I put the, if I remember, before I put the epoxy on it. That way I have less lint getting in the epoxy as it's setting up. But that's my little thing that I do. And this room right here that I'm using to do this in is the warmest room in the whole entire house, which helps the epoxy set quicker. And sometimes I hate being in here because I get so hot, but I try to work quick so I can get as many done as I possibly can, and then get out, close the door, and leave it. So that's those. That's how that goes. And it will level out. I don't see any bubbles on this one, but it's got to level a little bit. And then I'll go back and see before I leave out the room. I'll go back and see if I see any more bubbles, and I'll pop those. And then here's another one. I was just throwing some coasters together. This is a man, kind of like a flag. It's not really a flag, but I don't know, because it's hard to find. Well, it's not hard, but I haven't really found a whole lot of images of men. So this is one that I found, and I have another one that I found that I really like. I don't see. Oh yeah, I did do it already. No, well, there's one. It's a couple. I'll show you in a minute once I'm done with this one. But that one came out really nice. And so, you know, I like doing this kind of stuff. So, and I'm forever giving stuff to family and friends, and Christmas presents and birthday presents, whatever. This is what I do. Plus, of course, I sell the stuff. So, and then when I'm done with this, at the end of this video, I'll have pictures of totally completed coasters, so you can see what else I do to them once the epoxy sets up and is ready to be handled. I'll put stuff around the coaster, you know, like ribbon or rhinestones or pearls or something like that on some of them, just to kind of dress it up. Not that I need to, that's just what I like to do. Personally, that's what I like to do. I personally don't really like the plain, but some people do. A lot of people do. That's just me personally. And I have this one. I'm working on this one here. And this brush, at first I was using one of those cheaper brushes, but I kind of like this one better because it picks up more stuff. But then I also have to be careful because sometimes the bristles come off because it's a new brush. So try to make sure I don't see any bristles on here, which I don't think I do. And that's that. And just pour it on here. A little, like a $half a size. Usually works. It's usually enough. Sometimes I need a little more, depending. And I find that I use more depending on what. The glitter ones tend to use more. And these were just plain. This is a black tile, which I can't find anymore. Can you believe that? I bought like 4 of them. And I guess they were, somebody had bought a case, ordered a case, and they were just trying to get rid of the case, because when I went back to the store to get some more, I couldn't find them. And I got the black tiles from Lowe's, and I haven't been able to find any more. So what I'm going to have to do is probably have to order a case on either from the store or online or something. But these are really nice. But this is an actual black tile, ceramic tile that I found at Lowe's. And that design came out really, really, really nice. I don't know if you can see it. And I don't see too many bubbles in here. So it doesn't use as much epoxy as the glittered tiles do for some. Well, probably because the glitter absorbs it. The glitter absorbs the epoxy, I think, a little bit. So that's why it uses so much. And then I just have these, which are name monogram tiles. And these are going to be a like a, not really a demo, but kind of like you know, one of those for just to show people what they look like. I am so I can't get my words together today. And then I have some smoking trays that I'm finishing up. I got to put some epoxy on those. So once I'm done with these, I'll take a video of the smoking trays while I'm doing them, so you can see. Now with the smoking tray, while I'm going to the smoking trays, the process for those. And another thing I've learned about in trial and error, trying to figure out what's the best way to get the epoxy to spread as smooth and easily as possible. I know there's been people that have said that they warm up the epoxy, and I was doing that for a minute, but I stopped doing that because what I realized is when I would have, like when I was mixing the epoxy, I would have it sitting in warm water. But what I found is that when I did that, the epoxy tend to set up quicker, meaning, I don't know if you pay attention, but as you're using it, it gets warmer. The epoxy itself, it gets warmer in the little container. And I noticed that when I warmed up the epoxy as I'm mixing it, that when I'm sitting here for like 20 minutes, the whole container, this whole container would have like a lump in it, and it would be hot as what? Like right now, this is just real warm. It's like lukewarm. You almost can't feel the warmth to it. But I didn't put any heat with it, so I don't use heat with it anymore. I just mix it up and let it sit, let it set up on its own. As far as that goes, I wouldn't add any heat to it, because I didn't like how it got hot quick. And a few times, I think twice, I had to throw it away. I couldn't even use the whole container because it set up so quick. I couldn't even use it to start getting, because you'll notice as you're doing this, I think the direction said 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes time from the time you mix it to use it. And this, depending on how many I do at one time, I probably can do it in less than 30 minutes. And so what I do is, I do enough to do like 10 to 18 tiles at a time, depending on, how many orders I have or whatever. And doing it that way and not putting heat with it, it didn't set up quick, and I would have plenty of time before it would start getting hard to move. You'll feel it'll start getting stiff as you get closer to that 30-minute or 25-minute mark. It'll start getting a little thicker, and it wouldn't be hard to move, but it will be, you would feel the thickness in it. So I would make a smaller amount. So, and if I just have to make, you know, 2 or 3 batches, then I just have to make 2 or 3 batches, which was fine. I didn't really have a problem with it. So this one has a couple bubbles in it. I don't know if you can see it where I'm popping the bubbles. You can see it. Okay, but it's sitting here doing this is extremely relaxing to me. At least to me. I like doing this stuff. I can do this all day and all night. My husband, of course, doesn't particularly care for me to be in here. You doing this stuff all day and all night. Come on, we gotta go. So today is Monday, and it's by the time I post this, it won't be Monday. But today for me it's Monday, and Mondays is date night. So once I'm done with these, I'll get ready so I can go get washed up and dressed so we can go to probably dinner and a movie or something. I don't know. And then, yeah, see, I can feel it starting to get a little, it's not hard, but I can feel it thickening up a little bit. And I don't know how long, it's been what, 21 minutes? So yeah, it's getting time for me to finish it up anyway. So I only have I got enough left probably to do two more tiles, and I'll be done for today. And I just add some more to it. And I think that's it. So once I post this, I'm gonna put at the end, I'm gonna put some after pictures once they're cured, so you can see what it looks like. But if you have any questions, just leave comments and, you know, questions in the comment section, and then I will answer them as soon as I can. All right, so thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.